started here.
Hi Jake, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
get started
last
here.
in the last hours I put upgraded memory in two computers, so one is still running the memory check downstairs, so we'll see how that works out.
Awesome, awesome. So you upgraded. You said two computers with what
Yeah,
memory?
my main one I upgraded it from a half terabyte um, SSD to a 2 terabyte, and uh, and double the memory from 16 gigabytes to 632 gigabytes. That's the max this i7 can take. So
Nice, awesome, very
I
cool.
can see the difference in the performance already,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
especially in No Man's Sky anyway, the game. So, but even other things were starting to bog down because it was one a half terabyte was just not enough because the operating systems on that and all the other stuff. So even though I had a large regular hard drive, most of the software, all the good stuff was on the SSD. Now I'm fine. So how'd you make out on all your upgrades? I don't know if anybody else is going to join us here.
Yeah. So we'll get started here in just a minute. Yeah, it's been a busy week. About 2 weeks now. Feels like one big old week. I believe we finally got through the log portion of everything, and we got logs back up. Officially, I think they're staying up now, and so everything looks good there. That's one of the more important things, so that I can find issues and help people with support. It's also been preventing me from continuing testing of the copy trading and finishing that up so we can release everything from the testnet. So good news there that we finally got that going, and that we finally finalized that just last night. We've been battling with it, and I'm still crossing my fingers, hoping that this is the final time we have to touch it. But it looks like it's going a whole lot better. We took all of our logging that we used to send to a third party Datadog, and we took that internal to our own network. So we have a big server now that does nothing but process all the logs. I send a ton of logs, and I'm trying to minimize some of that, but at the same time, I need that information in case anything ever happens, so that I can help people and figure out what the problem was. So um, because of that, we were spending a good amount of money sending that data out to the third party. The third party was Datadog, and we actually have credits with them, so we weren't paying them, but we were paying for the traffic going
Oh,
out.
okay.
And now we're paying just for internal traffic of our own, which is like a whole lot less, right? At the very least, it reduces the traffic cost by half for the logs. So that's a significant chunk, and that helps us with our costs. It also helps with speed and performance because we're not sending stuff out to a third party. It's internal, so really it's not going to help that much with performance. It's just logging, but it'll help me be able to control more with the logging. Now it's all under our control, so that's helpful too. So that's one of the big upgrades we did, and the other big upgrade we did was moving the databases. Right, so we moved the databases from a managed service called Atlas, and we moved those over to an internal, once again, internal set of servers. And really for the same reasons. When you take a look at the costs and the performance, we actually wanted to be running a bigger server for the database to make it faster. Some people may have noticed, well, especially in the last week or two, as we've been messing with everything, it's been a little slow. So apologize for that. But the even previous, you might have noticed that it was, it would be slow sometimes, and that's simply because when we had higher traffic, the database would want to scale up, and it would want to be a bigger machine with more power. But the problem is it was more expensive, and we got to keep tabs on our costs. So I limited it so that it couldn't scale up to what it needed to be, which then affected our response time performance. Anytime you try to go get a list or something, if we contact the database, it would take just a little bit longer, right? So, and all that would add up. So what we've done now is we've taken the database internal, and what that allows us to do is actually um, not only save on costs in terms of the servers, but also the traffic as well. And so we used to be paying uh, the external traffic rate to go outside of our network, and then it would hit the Mongo network, which we also paid for, but they were separate networks. And then we would pay for the internal traffic of the Mongo network. So we were basically paying double for every piece of data going in and out of the database, and not only that, we were paying a markup to Mongo themselves for the server, licensing fees and that sort of stuff. Doing it ourselves, we've been able to get a even bigger server than we were using, able to pay for it all the time, don't need to scale up and down, and we're able to do that at a lower cost than we were paying. In addition to saving money on the traffic, because we're only going to be paying internal traffic now, so paying once for the traffic. So that is what we've been working on over the past week and a half, and it's finally coming to an end. Testnet is fully, switched over already, and the production is, I believe, syncing the last bit of its operations log and that sort of stuff, and it's just about done. So we've gotten that. We've gotten the logs steady. I got my logs back, and so yeah, so we're in better shape there. And because of all that, we've had a good bit of progress here and there. I've got some momentum back. For people who've been around here for a while, you might be more used to a lot more changes and things and updates than we've had, and you might be wondering what I've been doing. A lot of the changes are happening on the testnet now, and I haven't pushed any of those changes yet because I'm working on some pretty big things. And I've been refraining from pushing anything to the live site simply because I don't want to mess with stability or break anything. So that was the agreement, was we were going to push everything to the testnet. So I know like a couple people have been looking for Phemex USDT symbols, for example. Those are on the testnet, right? And those can be used over there. I do plan on pushing everything here soon that's on the testnet. I'm wanted to have that already pushed, but we ran into all of the maintenance that we've been doing, and that had to take priority, right? So all of that went to the back burner, and now I'm getting back onto it and building momentum there. So with that, we can cover a couple different things that have changed over the past little bit. I've been making several different tweaks to Timmy on the back end. I'm actually working on a completely new chat interface, and I have sort of a preview here. This is a very, very rough preview, but it's a full chat interface where we'll be able to do a few things. One, I already have Timmy integrated into it, so you can send messages to either a particular channel or directly to Timmy. You can tag Timmy, and he'll respond with whatever it is that you need. I've also, just as an example, I think this is still running. Yeah. I've also gotten streaming working, so you don't have to wait a long time to see Timmy's response. You can read it as it goes down, right? So that's cool. And the couple things that this is actually going to allow us to do are a lot further than just chatting with Timmy. So this is going to give us a dedicated place to communicate and get help. We'll be able to do support through here for people who don't want to use Discord or can't use Discord, instead of relying on email, which I don't always check and can be slow. We can integrate this. I can also integrate this with Discord so that anytime I get a message here, I can ping me on Discord. So everything's in one place, right? And things work out better that way. So now we can communicate and help people directly in the app. Timmy obviously is here to help as well, and there's been limited support that Timmy can give just based on general trading. Well, that's soon coming to change. So I've been working on a good bit of embedding support and different things, and building an embedded library full of all the things that I've written on Discord and blogs and articles, transcripts of my videos, so that Timmy can learn everything about Tradelab, everything that I've put out into the community, and then can begin to, analyze, parse all of that, and then give help based on those answers that I've already given. So, I have over 800 tickets that I've taken on the support system via email. We have several hundred archived tickets in Discord, and tons of archived messages, right? So all of that's going into a big vectored embedded database for Timmy to grab and respond with, right? So that is how that's working. Along with the chat system, the idea here is that we're going to be allowing people to chat within their organization, chat within particular groups that they want to make and invite people to. And we may end up doing, DMs as well. I got to figure out exactly how I want to deal with the security and privacy for people and not have a bunch of people get bugged. But the idea is to have, groups. The general idea is to have groups that people can go into, sort of like TradingView does, where you can maybe advertise your strategies or ask for help. I like the idea of having a group channel where Timmy is, so that you can ask a question and everyone can see. Of course, you can still privately chat with Timmy, but to have a group chat in that way, I thought would be kind of cool. And so there's lots of different possibilities here, especially for people who are creators who are looking to resell Tradelab, perhaps even with a white label. This allows you to connect with your customers who are going to find you on Tradelab, but may not be able to interface with you where you currently are, whether that be Discord or Telegram or however you manage your community currently. Advertising on Tradelab and being visible to the public on Tradelab, you're gonna or you might grab some people who haven't seen you at Discord or can't access you with Discord, right? And so being able to communicate with them here would be nice, right? So we have that sort of in the works. I've also been working with Timmy on market data, trying to feed it market data from live exchanges, and then basically have him parse that out and respond back with, different support and resistance, different trend analysis, things to watch out for, that sort of stuff. So the more data that we pull right now, I'm just pulling, like bar data from a particular chart and feeding that. But the more data that we pull and the more context we can build around questions, the more responsive he's going to be in a live environment, right? I'm also working on the ability to do what Bing does, which is like search the internet. Um, it's a little bit more difficult than than one might think, but I'm working on that. There's some frameworks that I'm looking into, and things of that nature. Just being able to parse it in a way, and you got to remember that the AI is very contextually limited to only like 3,000 words is all it can hold in its brain at one time. The same thing with ChatGPT, right? As we go to Chat or to GPT-4, which is a model. I should back up for a second. Timmy, when I first released the preview, was running on a GPT-3 model. Now Timmy is running on GPT 3.5, which is the exact same model that ChatGPT runs on, right? So we're running that now, and I'm also soon releasing the ability to opt in for GPT-4. There will be limits to how many messages you can send. GPT-4 is slower, just even if you use it on ChatGPT itself. So use it sparingly, but it is a whole lot smarter, right? And so that's pretty cool and excited about that. But as we go forward with Timmy, there's two main things that we're doing. It's the live data that I was just talking about, and sort of bringing him into a contextual awareness of what you're asking using live market data. And then the other one is actually helping with commands, right? So I want to make a new take profit line or a new stop line, right? Instead of going into my lines panel and creating that myself, I would be able to ask Timmy to help me with that. And I've started to prototype this, still working on it. There's obviously a lot to cover, but it's starting to come together. I definitely have prototypes where I have gotten this working fairly straightforward, right? It's like, hey, do a DCA, okay, do a DCA, but it can only do DCAs, right? Well, now I'm generalizing that, and it's a little bit difficult, but it's coming along, right? And the more data we feed it, and the more it gets used to it and is trained, the more and more accurate it'll be, right? And so that's what we're getting towards. Um, and besides that, I also started to add a new help segment to the builder sidebar, so you can click on this and you can find the new documentation. So you can open this in a new window, but this is the documentation that we've had for a little while now. But it's I've been updating it here and there, and this covers all the different features in the builder. Of course, you can open this in a new window and use that as a reference, right? So lots of different data in here. If you haven't seen this yet, I highly recommend you check this out. You can find this in the help button down at the bottom of the builder. Okay, I also plan on having a list of videos here, and we're going to be segmenting those using YouTube itself. So we're going to be putting those into playlists on YouTube, and then I'm going to have like a set of tabs or buttons here where you can pick a playlist and then see all the videos in that playlist. So it'll be like categories, and we can have tips on how to set up alerts or tips on how to set up rules, right? And have them in different categories so that it's easy to find what you need. So working on that. There's a couple other things that I shouldn't forget. Just give me a moment to refresh my memory here. We are working on WooX. So I believe last month or last week I announced Crypto.com. We've signed the contract with them and are moving forward with a partnership with Crypto.com that is allowing us to have a bigger visibility with them. They're going to help us market. They're going to help us reach out to customers like that, and then it's also going to be sort of a good thing for both of us because we're going to make them sort of the recommended U.S. partner as an official U.S. Exchange. They're one of the few that we support that is fully U.S. regulated, besides Binance U.S. as well, right? And so For those who are looking to use a U.S. exchange, I would recommend using Binance US today. But in the future, Crypto.com is going to be another recommendation that we're going to push. Um,
I have to ask, are you streaming something on your screen? Because I only see your purple and your logo, your avatar.
oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't
Okay,
shown that much. I am streaming on YouTube, so I'll stream here as well. You haven't missed anything. I've just mainly been talking, but thanks for pointing that out.
okay.
Um, so yeah, so that's where we're at with Crypto.com. We're just starting up the integration with them, signed the papers, and excited about that. Hopefully, hearing more about that in the coming weeks. Same thing with WooX. So WooX, I've been teasing another announcement. Here it is. WooX is officially going to become a partner, and we have supported them for a while. There's been very low usage with that exchange and low demand with it, and therefore we haven't had a whole lot of usage and testing with it. And so there's been some issues, and they've also actually done a couple of upgrades. And so actually, somebody from WooX reached out to me a few weeks ago directly and said, "Hey, can we do an integration?" I was like, "I actually have an integration, but we might need to tune it up." And so we've been tuning it up, getting everything ready, and hopefully going to, uh, you know, uh, release some even bigger announcements here soon. So I am announcing that we are partnering with them, and we are releasing the details of specifically what they want to offer and what they want to do for their customers and for our customers is still pending. So I won't finalize that and announce it yet, but it does sound very promising. WooX is sort of like a special case. I don't know if anybody has heard of them or is familiar with them. They are a smaller exchange. They don't have the volume that Bybit or anything does, but this is mainly because WooX was created as a specialized exchange for uh, larger traders, traders who trade larger amounts, institutional traders, and specifically, the way that they facilitate their market orders, the way that their matching engine works, and the way that they facilitate their trades, they designed it specifically in a way where you can place a very very large trade and not move the market as much, right? So there's ways to iceberg, there's ways to do other things, and make it so that it doesn't affect the market when you place $1 million trade, right? And that's their bread and butter. That's why they exist, and they house a lot of the bigger guys, right? Okay, now they want a larger user base and larger volume to play in that same space, and so they invite the retail users, and to entice the retail users, since their main game is these institutional traders, and since they make all of their money there from those contracts, they actually provide zero fee trading on futures, right? I don't know about spot. I would have to double check on that. But for futures, it is a zero fee. Now, I think if you're using leverage, there's probably still a funding fee. I mean, probably duh, right? But for the trading fee, it's zero, right? So that's one of the cool things about Woo. It's one of the reasons why somebody asked me months and months ago to integrate Woo, because they're like, oh, it's no fees, let me trade with no fees, and so yeah, that might be something that some people might be interested in. Um, I know some people talk about having scalping strategies and getting eaten by fees. You still might get eaten by your funding fees, so watch out for that. But something to look into there. All right, so WooX. Besides that,
Now, you had mentioned people that are on Bybit, you have to use Tradelab with Bybit exclusively. Otherwise, you don't have any fees with Tradelab. If somebody starts using WooX, will they now lose their free? Um, user fees at Tradelab because of the Bybit exclusion?
So let's be clear first. So we don't have an official partnership with Bybit. I think you're thinking about Bitget.
Bitget, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah. So Bitget, they they offer a free plan where if you trade exclusively with them, that you don't have to pay the trade lab fee. The idea is as long as you get above 50K in volume, Bitget actually pays us for your subscription, and then everything's fine, right? So you use it for free and you trade on Bitget. Now, um, as I said, I don't know the specifics of exactly what WooX is going to offer. I guess I could say in general terms, we've talked about the fact that we have that Bitget partnership, right? And they've you know express that as a possibility, right? I won't say how close that is or if it's going to happen because I don't know. But I do know that they want to offer something that is valuable to people to, to use that. Now let's just try to answer the general question I think, which is if they were to do something like that, or if anybody was to also want to do something like that, how would that work? Well, you would be locked to whatever free exchange that you're using. The whole idea here is that y- we are getting paid based on the volume that you're putting through that exchange. So we don't want you to split it up between two or three different exchanges. If you want to do that, you can pay a subscription and then all costs are covered and you can split it up however you want. But if we're going to get paid based off of Bitget or Woo getting paid based off of you putting volume in there, then we need to make sure that that's the only exchange that you're using. For the free deal. So if that were
Okay.
to happen, just hypothetically speaking, let's say some exchange B comes in and is also going to do another free plan. You would have the Bitget plan and the exchange B plan, and both of them could be free, but you're only going to select one of them. Right now, is it possible to create two accounts? I suppose it is, right? But you would have to keep the volume up on both of those accounts. Um, I often get a question about, I see the $50,000, goal for the free Bitget. How does that work? What if I don't hit that goal? I don't kick you off immediately. Okay, this is something that I manage. Is something that Bitget manages. What happens is at the end of the month, we just look at how much volume you got, and if you got it over it, I get some money. If you don't, then everything that you did that month was for free, and I had to pay for it. And so, if that happens too many months in a row, I might reach out to somebody and be like, hey, we need to either increase your volume or figure out some way to facilitate this. The more paid customers we get in and the more volume we get in and the more revenue we get in, the less I have to worry about that, right? I'm so it's something that I monitor and make sure, but it's not something that I want to hound people for. I understand that it takes people a while to ramp up and that sort of stuff, but we do got to be realistic, right? And I got to pay my bills, so that's how that goes. Any more questions on that?
Well, Jake, hey, this is JP. But what if you want that free $50 a month plan, and you have no problem putting $50,000 worth of trades through Bitget?
Mm-hmm.
What's the harm in running trades through other exchanges connected to the same account? There isn't really any harm, is there? But or is it's Bitget? Bitget is demanding that they exclusively
No,
trade through them.
no, it's not a big demand at all. It's a demand that I put in, and let's so. I mean, not that I need to be this transparent, but let's just be transparent because I don't mind. BitGet pays me half of the money when you get over 50K. They don't pay me the full money unless you get over, I think it's 500,000. Okay, so most of the people who were using the free plan, if I do get any money, I'm only getting $25. I'm not getting the full fee, right?
Oh.
And so the idea of you hitting 50K just to get your $50 marked off and then go make more trades on Bybit, which costs me more, that wouldn't help, right?
I got you. Okay, understand.
So, hey, honestly, guys, I'm just trying to pay for the servers. We had 5 or 7 grand. We paid 7 grand last month. Okay, 7 grand to keep the servers up, and I only have 120 people paying for it. It just doesn't add up, right? And so we've done some cost optimization. That's what I talked about in the beginning. We've done our maintenance to try to bring the cost down. But if you see me, talking about fees and costs and everything, I'm not trying to squeeze anybody, right? I'm just trying to pay for the damn thing. I haven't made any money off of this, right? So I just want to continue to provide this to people, and I want to continue building it, and we just want to make sure that we can pay for it, right? So I know everybody wants things low cost and free, and I want to provide a free plan, but we just got to make it make sense.
Word.
Yep. So, besides that, I think there's still a couple things. I really do feel like I'm coming out of a funk, guys, with the momentum, and like I just feel like I haven't gotten as much as I wanted done because I've been working on the copy trading, and then we had all of the optimization stuff going on. So over the past week, I feel like I've just shut a lot of that off, and I have been working on a new paging system, so it's in testnet right now. And I know that a lot of people have seen some slowdowns on the list page, loading the list, the strategy list, and trying to see a bunch of strategies. It's felt slow. In addition to that, some people had so many strategies, like, 1,500 strategies in one account, that we couldn't see all of the strategies on the page. It wouldn't load them all. And so I have introduced a new paging system so that we can see. Right now I got it set to 100 per page, and then you can flip through the pages. You can still have your folders, of course. You can still search, and the search will search through everything, right? And we're only pulling 100 at a time instead of everything, right? So that should make things a whole lot better. I'm also applying that same system to alerts and trades as well. Hasn't quite been completed yet, but I'm working on that. So we should get better searching there, and hopefully, what I'm really hoping for is, people have wanted to be able to make their own custom columns here and show, like, just a much more robust. I don't have any alerts on this account. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. A much more robust table, right? Being able to customize it yourself. That was always actually my plan. And we actually started with a totally different database system, and I wasn't able to do it. And then when we finally got the database system I wanted, I got so busy that I couldn't get it back around to doing that, right? So that's what I'm trying to slide in there now. Of course, I've already talked about the chat system. For those who weren't here, we got a new chat system coming. Timmy's built into it, but you'll also be able to communicate across Tradelab with different people. So I'm working on that as well. I have been talking more and more and looking into Tradeovate. We are gonna go ahead and do Tradeovate as a integration. The main thing is Miles and sort of his crew are all trading on Apex because they're all funded, the prop traders. And a lot of prop traders are all going through Tradeovate right now, and Tradeovate is futures, and it sort of lends itself to what we're already used to doing. So I'm gonna try to integrate that. It's a good bit of code that I have to write. So it's been a bit of an uphill battle, but working on that. And then in better news, MetaTrader has been going pretty well. So we do obviously have the ability to use Pine Connector. So if you guys have heard of Pine Connector, if you have Pine Connector, this is how you can send TradingView alerts to MetaTrader, right? And we can actually use this through our plugin system. right? So you can create a external plugin and hook it to MetaTrader through Pine Connector, right? I'm also building our own MetaTrader plugin, and that's been going very well. I have orders placing. I had some issues with stop losses. I believe I've fixed most of those, and so now I'm really trying to, so far I've been just sort of sending tests out and making sure that it works on MetaTrader. But now I'm starting to integrate that into the flow and actually making it an exchange. So you can do Pine Connector, you can do whatever else that you want through the plugin system if that's what you want to do. But our MetaTrader plugin is actually going to act like its own exchange. So you would come into here. There's going to be a special setup for MetaTrader for your exchange, and you'll connect it via there, and we'll have a video showing you how to install it into MetaTrader. I'm also, I think, going to be able. I have everything set up that just needs to be basically installed into the MetaTrader folder. So I think I'm going to be able to make like a MSI or some sort of installer package, right? So that it'll automatically install it where it needs to go, right? And you just download it, install it, and you're good to go, right? So working on all of that. It's coming together beautifully. Takes a little bit of time, but we're getting there. I want to work on I really want to work on the module system and the event and the calendar system. It's like right at my fingertips, and I've almost started to work on it, but I haven't yet. I'm trying to wrap up all the other things that I'm working on, but excited to hopefully finally get to that. I did add big okay. There's a big announcement this week. I forgot to start with this. Okay, so I have released a new set of features that have been around for a while but have not been publicly accessible. Okay, so starting today or yesterday, really, everyone has access to groups. You can make your own private groups. You can go through here and select which strategies that you want in the group, and then you can, actually, without a organization, I'm gonna need to create a group like invite link. I just thought about that. I'm gonna add an invite link here so that you can invite your friends to your group, and that's how you can manage private groups and share privately, right? So this is something that is available starting today. We also have had this for a while in attachment with the organization system, and that got a big upgrade as well. So let's take a look at this. The organization system is invite only, the way that groups was. So if you do have an org that you want to put on Tradelab, that would be like a trading group or a broker or somebody like that, that you have lots of different users, or you want to resell Tradelab, you can do that under the organization tab, right? So the organization tab allows you to create your own plans. So you can actually name your own price. So we give you a 20% discount, or is it 20? Yeah, 20% discount, $10 off. So you're selling it for $40, and then if you add $10, you get $10, and they're paying the same price that we charge them, right? $50, right? You can change this to however much you want, and get a total plan price there. You can add features so that you can tell your members what they're getting. So you can say this feature is gets this, right? And then when you close that, you can see that in your public buy page. So every organization gets their own buy page with their own plans listed, and you can see the feature that we added to this plan. So the cool thing about the upgrades here, when you're in groups for an organization, you have some extra features that you didn't before. One of those is the allow public applications to join the group. And so this has been something that's been there for a while, but whenever you would go to a community browser and see one of those, it would have a lock symbol on it. And when you would click on that lock symbol, it would throw up just a page that says, we're going to make you apply to the group. So you can submit an application and you could get that approved, right? And you would approve that by that page that we saw earlier. So I've changed that now. So now we fully support being charged just the markup for everything, right? So if you want to, charge say $40 or whatever, in the regular price would be 80, right? Because it would be our $40 plus your $40. But now, if I'm already a TradingView or Tradelab user, and I come in here and I'm looking for a strategy, and I find your private strategy, I can click View Group Plans, and I can go ahead and select a plan and subscribe to just your markup. I don't have to rebuy a Tradelab plan. I don't have to repay for anything I've already paid for. I'm just adding yours to it. If I already subscribe to somebody else, and I, have a Tradelab subscription, I have their markup that I'm paying them, I can still pay somebody else as well. So I can have multiple subscriptions, right, to multiple different strategy providers, right? And so you can subscribe here. It'll show you the price. This one here. Oh, I'm on my testnet. I'm sorry. That's not going to work on the testnet. But yeah. So that's how that works. And we can go over to the live net. Make sure I'm showing. There we go. Yeah. So that's the organization panel. The changes there. And I also created a new white label panel. So the white label, you can click on this and it gives you a new subscription for the white label. So white label can be bought by a organization for $200 a month or $1,600 a year. And what that provides you is a complete overhaul of the branding. So if I go to BitX Trader, for example, we can see BitX Traders at the top, and I can log out. I can see their logos right there. And so with this new white label settings that I've added, you can customize that sort of stuff. So I don't know if I have, I'll just real quickly. Second here. I'm just going to enable those settings for this user so that I can show you guys what this looks like. Come on. Oh, jeez. There we go. Okay. So if we get that, and then permissions. There it is. Permissions and white label. Oops. There we go. Alright, and so if we refresh this page now, you should see groups and white label. Have it load up. Maybe not. What's it doing? There we go. Alright, so with the white label here, we can connect your domain. We can also provide a support URL, which will override this, and will also override the Discord link in the very beginning of the welcome setup. You can also provide a login page image, so that will replace this whole side, so you don't see the colors over here or anything, and you get to replace it with the full image. And then There's also locking themes, so you can pick a particular theme and lock your website to it so that it only shows that one theme. And then you can also hide the logo text as well. So that would hide this text up here, so it only shows the logo. So if you had like a wider logo, you know, wide and short, you could just show the whole logo like that, right? So we have those options built into the white label now, and groups is now a publicly available feature for everybody to play with. All right, any questions on that? Awesome. We did get some updates to the trade preview. Stone helped me out with figuring out some issues with that. So the trade preview profit and loss is more accurate now. And yeah, I think that about covers all of the announcements. We talked about the share P&L last week. I did that last week. Yeah, so that covers everything. So any questions?
I felt the trade preview is a really nice feature revision. It looks like it's running real smooth and matches up. So it's you could go through your strategies and fine tune them just by changing your profit and loss a little bit, and it just makes you more comfortable, I think, with your trading by having a little more accurate trade preview.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's I think those are the types of things that I'm trying to focus on. As I'm building momentum, they're really small things. Like it doesn't take that much time to create these things, but there's just so many other things that seem more important that I don't get around to it. For example, like this is what he's talking about, right? The trade preview, and this is actually probably not the best example. Let me grab one that has like regular trade lines on it. That might have a better trade preview, but what this does is it shows your estimated profit and loss. It shows the estimated margin and the reference, the price that you might be trading at. It gives you a visualization of your lines, and we can see here that I have an order line and my limit line sort of on top of each other here, and so that's why we're seeing that. So I have sort of a couple different ways to visualize this. If we're in an open trade, it'll show us what the current trade is. Trade preview gives us an idea of what what we might get as far as the profit and loss if we hit everything. And so when you look at this bottom panel, it also has logs and trade history. But I want to add more to this, and one of the things that we've discussed is adding the DCA table that I think 3 commas or somebody else has that sort of shows you where all the safety orders are, where they would be, how much you would have lost, and where your break even would be based off of that, and sort of showing you that as a preview, right, before you ever enter a trade. And so I do plan on having more tabs like this, and so we've talked about this more and more, and I've started working on it again, trying to get it ready. But if you guys haven't seen this yet, you can drag, like this whole system is a docking system, right? So you can drag this, and I can dock this up here. I can create a whole new sidebar over here, right? I can drag this one and put this one in here, or I can say, hey, I want this to go above here like this, right? And then do whatever it is that I need to do there. And so there's a couple things that are common with this. One, I want to be able to save layouts so that you can save it and then reload it like that. I also want to bring the TradingView charts in here, right? So I haven't yet gotten back on working on TradingView charts. I worked on it for like 1 or 2 nights when I got a crazy hair to do it. a couple weeks back, but I haven't gotten back to it. I need to get back to that, and that's going to come in tandem with the live data, right? And the live data is just about there as well. So once we get that in, we'll have the charts there. But basically what I'm trying to get at is there's a whole lot of different windows that I want to have up here, but I don't want it to get cluttered, right? So the idea is we're going to have, like any other application like Photoshop or something you might be used to, we're going to have a bunch of windows in here that are going to be in a list that are just going to be sort of hidden, right? So maybe you're not doing DCA. Well, you won't need to see the DCA table, right? But if you are doing DCA, you could come in here and turn that on, and maybe if you add a DCA line to your lines panel, I could have some logic that automatically either makes it show up there or pops up and says, hey, we noticed you have a DCA line. Do you want to see the DCA table? That sort of thing, right? So those are the things that I'm working on. I am planning on having this layout system be more customized and utilized for its customization. And then once I have that system in place, I already have a branch where it's pretty much working, but the problem is it doesn't always load the if I get rid of something and try to bring it back, it doesn't always load it back the way that it should, right? And so I've been working on that. But once I get that fixed, the idea is to not only apply it to the builder, but to bring this over to the dashboard, right? So I've said that a couple times. The idea that you can actually have multiple panes here, maybe profit, maybe the news or video, recent trades, and be able to customize how those are placed on the screen, have different layouts even, and switch between different dashboards, right? And be able to customize that. So that's the idea there, and just sort of an overview of all the roadmap items that we've had on the docket for a little bit.
JP, I think those features would really be beneficial for you with your new system coming up.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. Well, awesome. How is everybody doing? I see that we got a pretty good group here. We got JP and PJ.
JP and PJ have been doing some talking,
Yeah, I heard.
by the way. We'll see where it goes. I think it's going to go to the promised land. That's where we're all trying to get, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Very excited about that. Yeah, and so for those who don't know, PJ owns TACBots, TACBots.com, and that's something that you guys can all use with Tradelab. It's a strategy system, and JP has been making an indicator system of his own that's pretty robust. He's talked about it a couple times on these live AMAs, and just bringing more and more data into Tradelab, making it more and more available to people. So yeah, TACBots is available. I do think it's a paid product, but you do get a free trial, I think. And so it's pretty affordable, and it definitely works because if you guys have ever checked this out, if you go to the Wins channel here, Wins, PJ is just all over this, right? Like Mr. Nobody has been posting too, so I don't know if he's joined us today, but Mr. Nobody has been working on some strats that are pretty killer, pretty advanced too, using a lot of the advanced systems in there. But yeah, PJ has been just consistently posting profits for months, right? And so I actually brought him on here to show everybody TACBots, and so yeah, so this is a paid advertisement, not even paid, he doesn't pay me. This is a free advertisement for TACBots. If anybody needs a profitable strategy, go ahead and check that out. JP's doing the same thing, right? And his is called Flash Trade, I think, and that's coming here pretty soon. You think, JP?
Yep.
All right. Awesome. So these are actually two great examples of our white labeling, right? So PJ is using TACBots as a white label, and JP will be white labeling flash trade as well. So great examples of that. You get to have your own bot. It's not Tradelab anymore. It's the flash trade bot or the TACBots bot, right? Um, so good deal there. Awesome. I want to check in with a couple others that we sometimes see on here. So I've talked to Yaboy a couple times. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm kind of new to this whole thing, so I'm kind of just shutting up and listening.
Sure, no worries. Yeah, I believe we talked last time and got a couple questions answered. Has things been going well for you?
Yeah, but trades have been up and down. I mean, I'm using Bitcoin versus USDC, and the market's not really moving. So I think I'm gonna switch up my and try to find something more lucrative.
And I was just talking with Miles about that last night, and the crypto market is just dead right now, and it's hard to really get a whole lot going, and that's why I've been working on the MetaTrader stuff, and also looking to integrate with Tradeovate. I don't know if we'll do a direct integration with Tradeovate or if we'll do. I guess they use NinjaTrader too, and so I guess if MetaTrader and NinjaTrader are like the two main things, then maybe we do integrations with both of them. I don't know, but we're working with MetaTrader right now, and I think that's really one of my main focuses. I know it's been hard to trade in the market where we have, and a lot of that volatility, a lot of that liquidity has moved over to those traditional markets, right? So we need to be able to follow, and so that's heavy on my mind there.
Even with the current market condition, you can still take some scalps on the lower time frame, like the 1, 3, 5, and 12 minutes. Just have a pretty shallow stop loss and TPs.
All right, there you go. You guys heard the master.
And use tag bots, man. It's really good for that.
Yes. All right. So, is there anything that you want to talk about or update this week, PJ?
Um, we've been working with TradeLab super closely to launch a white label version. We'll mainly be focused on copy trading. Um, just pretty much do all the work. So all the end users have to do is a copy. And anyone in here that's interested in TechBots, just ping me. I'll give you guys a free month trial. No credit card required.
Awesome. So obligation free, free trial there. So check out TechBots, and then do you got anything, JP?
No, nothing new to cover at this point. I am working on some new data cruncher windows that basically leverage additional indicator strategies. So, that's what I've been doing.
Awesome. All right, and we'll check in with Miles real quick. I know I can speak for Miles that he's been working his butt off on all the changes that I talked about earlier with the database and the logs. Anything you want to say, Miles?
Uh, no, I don't really have anything interesting, honestly. Uh, nothing that would revolve around, like anything besides the logging and stuff.
Okay. Cool. And now I want to reach out to a couple of the other guys. So I reached out to Yaboy. I've talked to Wino a couple times. We've been talking back and forth. It's been good speaking to you. I don't think that we've spoke via voice. I'm not sure if you got a mic. And if you don't, I'm going to check the chat so I can make sure I don't miss any.
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Nice to meet you in person, and just really loving the platform. Only been here a week, and basically I've just been a manual trader for the last year, and just automating what I've been already doing, and having just way more success automating it than manually doing it. So really excited for the possibilities here.
Awesome. Yeah, and I do see a couple things in chat here. So about Timmy using current market data, how is that done? Do you read it from some API to get the market data and provide it to ChatGPT? And how much data in bars can you provide? Very good questions. Excellent questions. So, I have been experimenting. So yes, the general answer is I get data from the Exchange API. I get that data and I feed it as a prompt to GPT, right? In this case, the GPT 3.5, which is the same thing that ChatGPT runs, right? So it's not incorrect to say feed it to ChatGPT because that's basically what's going on. So we're feeding it to there and with our prompts and our training, and where the training comes in is it's not just historical training, but it's also what I honestly don't know the technical term of it. I would call it like a workflow training. So like in order what I've set up, and I won't give too much of my secret sauce away, but this is I feel like this is becoming standard in the way that AI works. So there's a preprocessor that goes through and determines, it flags whatever you're doing into one of multiple different categories. So it's a categorizer that tells it what sort of actions that you might want to be performing. Are you trying to get market data with this, or are you trying to get it to make a new rule for you, right? So it first goes through that classifier, and it's based off of the classifier. We're actually having the AI determine. It'll return a certain weighting for many different categories. Okay, and those weightings are like between 0 and 1, and 1 being 100%, right? And so you're sort of weighting all of these, but it doesn't have to be all added to 100%. You know, it could be, oh, I match this 90% and I match this other thing 90%. And based on those weights, we can actually determine a certain set of workflows. So say I have 5 or 6 different layers, different pieces that I could use. And depending on the different things that I see and categorize, I then sort of build on the fly a customized workflow to solve whatever the AI needs to do. I'm still using the AI, but I'm doing work on my end to determine how I approach the AI, right? Because, for example, your question, how much can you provide data-wise to the AI? Well, if you just copy and paste a bunch of data and give it to it, you're only going to get 4,000 characters max. Okay, and even with ChatGPT 4, they told everybody that they were doing 30,000 characters. They have a version of it that's 30,000, but that's not actually public, and they're not letting me use it. So ChatGPT 4 gives you 8,000 characters, and I am experimenting with that and trying to not characters, I should say tokens, right, which are like words, right? So I am working on allowing you to switch between GPT-3 and GPT-4, so that will be an option. But as to say, it's all limited by the context that you can put. So if I put a bunch of data in there, I can only get to 4,000. So that's however many bars, and it may only be 100 bars or something. So then how do you get more? Well, that's where these layers and this workflow comes in, because I could send multiple. Now, I could just send multiple and just combine it, right? But instead of that, what about sending it in chunks and having it summarize those chunks and then combine those summaries and have it summarize the full summaries, right? To see, so I can only see 100 at a time, but then if I summarize that 100 into just 25 lines and then add up 4 of those, I get a new 100, but that actually equates to 400. You get what I'm saying? And so it's about compacting and compressing that data through AI summarization, and being able to sort of make a workflow that can do that right on the fly. And so that's what I've been working on, and I think it's coming together pretty well. So. Is there also a way to organize global variables like folders? Yes. Well, no and yes. So that's been requested. I still haven't gotten around to it. So yeah, I need to get around to that. I believe I did add a search so you can search for them. That should help quite a bit. But as far as grouping them, haven't gotten there yet. So that's something that I do want to do. And not only do we need grouping in here, but we need grouping in strategy variables too. So it's a whole system, right? So we'll get to that. And it would also be nice, be nice to be able to see particular global variables changed over time. Yeah, it would. I mean, there's definitely ways that you can see this. Obviously, you can go into a strategy and you can go into the logs of a strategy and you can see the logs for that strategy. Now, there isn't actually like and I should make one, I guess. There isn't like a generic logs page that just shows you all logs for everything. And allows you to like filter based on maybe a strategy or something. I don't have that. So it's something I could maybe add. And then at that point, in these logs, you should see the global variables being changed. If you got global variables changing, you should be able to see that in the logs. You can, of course, click on the see all and it'll open in a full window. But again, this is only for that one strategy. So perhaps I need to make, a generic logs page that you can access like that, so you can see it across them all, so that you can look at the global variables, basically, right? That would be one way to do it. Could definitely use some more, visual tracking as well. So I'm not opposed to, a lot of that needs overhaul, right? Like I think we got sort of kind of like a visual tracking in the strategies page. So if you click on this, you can see the variables, and you can see the statuses, but these are all live numbers, right? And we're not actually tracking them over time, right? And so those are something that I definitely want to do more of. It is more data, right? We have the tracking of what they look like in the alert history. So I don't know if you've seen this. I was actually gonna like skip over this because I like in my mind I feel like everybody knows this, but you may not. So if you click on a alert, obviously if you look at an alert or a trade, you can see what rules ran, and I wish I could find an alert real quick that had rules that ran, but maybe these. Yeah, so we can see what rules ran. We can click on all events. We can see all the rules that ran, even if they failed, right? So this alert is going to fire every strategy, and it's going to fire every rule in that strategy. And whenever it finds something that it likes and it passes, it'll say success, and that's because all the conditions passed, right? And so then we can see the actions that happen. And so technically speaking, you could see what's happening from alert to alert to the global variables by looking at the old value versus the new value. But as you said, obviously we need, it's very cumbersome to do that. We need a place where it's sort of visualized in one place, right? So good suggestion there, and I'll keep that in mind. But we do have this, and we have the logs as well for right now that you can try to use. I also did. I do want to bring this up because I had a pretty good conversation with one of our customers that he was looking for more logging, right? He was looking for more. He wanted to know what was happening in his strategy, and he felt like we needed more UI for that, and I agree. And I think that that's something that we're working towards and working on. But I also want to point out the things that we do have to help. For example, the log event function. So we've talked about logs a couple times so far. These are all logs that are generated by the system itself. And I mean, most of these, since this strategy isn't doing anything, it's just the same alert or the same log over and over about running an alert, right? But normally you would see maybe some more exciting stuff in here, and if you want even more exciting stuff, you can make it yourself, right? So you can add an action, hit log event, and you can create your own log. Not only can you say, enter trade, and I'll fire this on the entry rule. So, okay, I'm going to enter, so enter a long trade. And then I could say and then I could hit add reference. And the cool thing about logs is that you get to inject stuff. So you can say current price. So now it's going to say enter a long trade at, and then it'll list the price whenever it does that that log, right? So we use this along with some variables to create him a system where he could easily see what stage his strategy was at. That's something that I would like to create some sort of framework for eventually, allowing people to like name stages in their system and then being able to easily see that stage. But it's something that could be different for everybody, and so I haven't quite made a system for that that's open that facilitates all that. But we do have the basic systems such as our logs and our variables that can facilitate this just as well right today, right? So it's a great example of how to use variables for data collection and for reporting, right? So variables aren't always used in your rules so that you can compare this to that. You can create a variable to count how many trades you've made. Of course, we already do that for the most part, but what about counting how many times you pyramided? Or how many times your take profit got hit? We count how many times your trade opened, but we don't count how many times your take profit 1 got hit versus your take profit 2. You could do that yourself. You just come in here, you hit new number, you say TP1 hit count, and then you could increment this every time that it gets hit. Right, I come down here, TP1 gets hit, I could add action, add strategy variables, TP1 count, add 1 to it. And so now I'm counting. And this never gets reset. It doesn't, there's no default. Everybody always asks me, well, why do I have to reset everything? Why do I have to, it's so much work because, I have to remember to reset. Why don't you reset stuff? Well, this is one example because we can use this variable as a reporting tool, and it'll never get reset, and we'll just keep counting, right? So many different ways to do that, and then logs as well. Right. So so there's that. I think we've covered all the questions that were in. Oh, we got one more. Is it possible to use log event to send to own Telegram or Discord server? So actually, yes and no. So you wouldn't use log event, but you would use plugin. So the plugin action is almost very similar to the log event action. So you can, you can come over to plugins, and you can see all the plugins that I have in the plugin panel. And to make your own plugin, you would go to plugins on the left side, and you can create a plugin in here. Okay, so you would come in and you would select maybe Telegram or Discord, and for what you want to do, you want to select output, right? So you can create alerts from an input. Maybe I send a message in Discord to the Tradelab bot in Discord, and the Tradelab bot will take my message and turn it into a alert. Right? So we can do that. That's pretty cool. But we can also do output. So Tradelab does something, and then we send out a message. So by default, by setting up a Telegram output, you can have it output whenever a trade is open, whenever a trade is closed, or a TPSL or DCA gets hit. Right? So those are the default messages, of course. And then you can customize that message. So this is when it will send, and then you can customize what it says when it sends. Just like last time, I can say this happened at a certain price, maybe. When you click on this, it takes a second to load. And then you'll be able to select, whatever it is. Now you'll notice that we don't have strategy variables in here because we're not in a strategy. You can use your global variables, but up here at the plugin setup section, we don't really have strategy variables, so I don't know which one you're looking at, right? Now that's okay though, because when we hit save and we save this as a Telegram or Discord, when we go to my strategies and we go to set something else up, we can customize that. So if I wanted to send it by default on the trade open or trade close, I can come into my plugins panel and I can make a message in here, and this message will override whatever it is that I used in the global message, right? So if I then want to say this was at, and then I want to give it a strategy variable, I can do that now, right? So I can plug that in, and that's what that looks like there. Okay, and I can also, so this would send on the default events, right? So just whenever it closes or opens or something like that. But what if I want to send it like we were doing our log event earlier? I can click add action and hit plugin, and then I can select the plugin that I made, and then I can click the options, and it gives us a fairly similar thing that we saw with the log event, right? So I can set up my my body here. So send this to, you know, and then add some sort of reference. You can add many references too, right? Like not just one, you can add as many as you want, right? So you can type all that out, and then this will be sent as a message to your plugin, right? So in this case, Telegram or Discord, whatever that may be. And so yeah, you can send those on demand. As you can see on any rule, you can attach that to whatever logic you want, and send that out as a notification. Also, while we're on the subject of notifications, logging, reporting, if people haven't known this, you can also do play sound, right? So I think most people have played around with this because it's quite a lot of fun. But I have a lot of different meme sounds in here and stuff that I put on here. You can also, I don't know if you know this, put in your own MP3. So if you have a link to an MP3, you can go ahead and paste that into here, and it'll play your own MP3 sound. Right? Probably don't want to select like your favorite song, 3-minute song, because it'll play the whole 3-minute song. So whatever it is that you want to play, make sure it's appropriate length. But yeah, that is how that works.
PJ, are you using this on your TACbot right now?
PJ, are you there? Looks like he's off mute. We don't hear you though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he might have stepped away. Let's see if we can get him back in a little bit. Bluefin asked, I'm not sure if this has been addressed, but in the connection to the data being, it is in connection with the data being updated on every tick, okay? What is, sorry, I feel like I'm missing some context here. I am not sure if this has been addressed before, but it is in connection to data being updated on every tick, and you've circled to recalculate. What is in connection, Bluefin? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? Jake, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, what I was asking, you have data, say, on higher time frame, say 15 minutes, 30 or 1 hour, but there's data that you need that doesn't have to wait for the 1 minute, maybe calculated 15 seconds between. How would I use that data in the strategy?
So that data is going to trigger your strategy or your indicator to fire an alert, right? So you would want to make sure that your alert that you're setting up is once per bar, but not once per bar close. And you would want to make sure in your Pine script that your strategy, if you're using a strategy or an indicator at the very top, that it doesn't have calculate on close or something like that. There's this, you'll see it if it's there. It's at the very, very top. It's either study or strategy. The very top line will say study or strategy, and it'll have a bunch of parameters in it. one of those parameters, if it says only calculate on close or calculate on close or something like that, you'll have to remove that, right? Because calculate on close should not be true. That
Oh,
will allow you to use
see that the
metadata
heartbeat.
that you want to use.
Okay, so the heartbeat cannot handle that.
Well, no, the heartbeats. I mean, they run every 15 seconds, but you don't need a heartbeat for this. Whenever, if because this is what you're saying is you want to calculate on every tick in your TradingView indicator or strategy, which means TradingView is going to be doing more work and it's going to be checking things more often. Whenever it checks something and it's true, it's going to send an alert to Tradelab, and that happens immediately. So it doesn't. You don't have to worry about like a heartbeat or anything. Whenever it's ready, it'll send, and that'll happen immediately, right?
Okay, got you.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah, and glad we got that covered, Shet. I'm glad we got that. Yeah, and PJ, did you want to cover something real quick? Somebody had a question for you.
I'm sorry. What was the questions? Am I using the plugin with TagBots, or am I using TradeLab with TagBots?
It was the TradeLab plugins, which has a lot of features. Is TacBots the
Oh
new?
yes. We are building a microservice on AWS that will pretty much do all the alerts and entries and exits, and the microservice will pass all that information to TradeLab via a plugin. So all you will need from your end is just an API.
Okay.
Right, and
So soon it will be no need to set up multiple alerts.
right, and so the idea there is PJ is creating a system that with TradeLab copy trading, he can already set up his own alerts and share those with everybody for the most popular symbols. So let's say he does that for 20 symbols and he sets up his own, let's say TradingView alerts and TradingView. He can set those up, 20 alerts in TradingView, and he'll send those to himself, and then those will get copied over to everybody else. And those are for the 20 most popular symbols, so you can go on there and copy whatever symbol that you want. This is hypothetical, but this is sort of what we're talking about. Now, what he's creating, though, is a way where he isn't going to be relying on TradingView. He's going to be sending it himself, and he can provide, once again, copy trading for the most popular symbols. And you could do that for 20 symbols, 50 symbols, 100 symbols. But it is going to be, you got to go on to the community browser here, and you would have to scroll through all of the symbols that TACBots has, and you would have to select each of the symbols that you want to use, right? I am going to make that a little bit easier as far as group copying symbols and that sort of stuff. But, long story short, unless he went through and created that symbol for you and put it up there, you would need the alert somehow, right? And so normally you would go to TradingView, you would get a TradingView subscription, you would set up the alerts that he instructs you, and that's how you would get your own alerts for whatever symbol that you want to trade that he doesn't trade. That's the whole point here. You want to trade a symbol that he doesn't trade, so you need to set it up yourself. What PJ is also doing is creating a system, as he just said, in the background that allows you to say, hey, PJ, I want you to send me a signal for this symbol, right? I want you to send me a signal for that, and even though that PJ didn't set that up previously, he'll set it up for you, and now he'll send you those alerts without you needing to get a TradingView subscription. Right.
That is
So
correct.
by you paying for TACBots, you're getting all of your alerts, and you don't have to pay for TradingView anymore. Right. And I believe TACBots plus TradeLab is about a similar, like for both of those things. I think it replaces the TradingView cost as well? It's about the same price, right?
It's a little bit cheaper.
Okay. Yeah. So awesome. Awesome.
A-
Awesome.
And of course, we want to have it free, but got server costs and salaries to pay. So
Oh, buddy, I know. Tell me, I know. Oh, buddy. Yep. So, well, I don't want to bore everybody too much. That has been the majority of what I wanted to talk about this week. I super appreciate everybody's time. I'm going to hang around for a little bit just in case anybody has any more questions. But thank you guys so much for joining. I'm going to, 1 second, I'm going to check YouTube. Yeah, okay. Just making sure we didn't have anybody asking anything on YouTube, but we're good. All right. So, anything else anybody wants to cover? Awesome. Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and shut off the stream then. Going once, going twice. Alrighty. Alright, well, thanks everybody for watching on YouTube, whether it be live or later on. I hope you guys are having a good day, and I hope to catch you next time. We're gonna be doing this, we usually do this once a week on Saturdays. Around 3 p.m. Central Time. So if you want to catch us on our Discord, you can find the event at the top of our Discord in the events tab right here. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody, and catch you next time. Leave a like, subscribe for more updates, and have a good one.